You are not lost. You've been hidden, and you have the power to go beyond the veil. Hey Celestials, welcome back to Beyond the Veil. Last episode we talked about sovereign boundaries, about how to hold your center, how to protect your energy. But there's something that comes after that, because once you've learned how to protect your energy, the next question becomes, what are you going to do with it? Episode 11 is called Stop Waiting for the Light, Be the Flame. Because a lot of you are not lost. You're waiting. You're waiting for clarity, for a sign that tells you it's time. But what if the thing that you're waiting for is something you're meant to generate yourself? You're not waiting, you're withholding. Let's start here. Most people think they're waiting for the right moment. But that's not always what's happening. What may be happening is you're holding back your own fire. Think about it. You've had moments, clear ones, where something in you said move, and you didn't. Not because you didn't know, but because you didn't feel ready to carry it. So instead of acting, you shifted into waiting. Waiting feels safer than moving. Waiting feels more spiritual than risking being wrong. And waiting gives you the illusion that you are aligned, when really, you've just paused your own ignition. But here's the truth. Clarity does not come before movement. Clarity comes from movement. You don't find the light. You generate it by stepping into what you already know. Why people get stuck. So why is this so common, especially for sensitive people? Because whenever you feel deeply, you also feel the weight of your choices. You can sense the consequences and the outcomes. And instead of using that perception to guide you, it can turn into hesitation, fear. And there's another layer. A lot of you have been taught, either directly or indirectly, that being spiritual means being receptive, means being open, patient all the time, and trusting of everything. And those things can be important, but they can also be distorted, because somewhere along the way, receptivity turns into passivity. You begin thinking, I'll move whenever it's clear, or I'll act whenever it feels perfectly aligned, or I'll know whenever it's time. Until then, I'll just stay here. But look, if you're always waiting for certainty before you move, you're never going to move. Because certainty is not what creates alignment. Participation is. And this is where a lot of people get stuck in a very quiet loop. They're aware, but inactive. They feel called, but unmoving. And over time, that doesn't feel like peace. It starts to feel like pressure. The woman who kept waiting. Let me try to give you a picture. Imagine a woman who knows she's meant to create something. She can feel it clearly. It comes up in moments whenever she's alone, when she's thinking, when she's imagining what her life could be. There's something in her that wants to speak, to build, to step into a different version of herself. But every time she gets close to acting, she pauses. She tells herself she needs more clarity. She needs to be more confident. And she needs more certainty that it will actually work. So she waits. And weeks go by, and months go by. And here's the part that's hard to see. It's not that the desire goes away. That desire stays. But it will get quieter while paradoxically heavier. It'll turn into this low, constant feeling like something in her is being underused. And eventually she'll start questioning herself, thinking maybe it wasn't even real. Maybe she made it up. Or maybe she's not actually meant to do that. But the truth is, it was never about whether it was real. It was about whether she was willing to feed it and to nurture it to grow. Because what she felt wasn't the finished fire. She felt the spark. And a spark doesn't grow just because you believe in it. It grows because you tend to it. The flame, discernment. This is the deeper layer. You are not empty. You're not missing something. There's already something active inside of you. But it exists at the level of a spark. And a spark requires participation. It needs oxygen, attention, and movement. If you sit there waiting for it to become a full flame before you engage with it, it'll stay small. Not because it isn't real, but because you're not feeding it. And this is where discernment truly matters. Because waiting can feel very clean. It'll feel wise, patient. It can even feel spiritual. But there's a difference between waiting because something is not ready and waiting because you're avoiding what it will require of you. A lot of the time, you already know what your next step is. It's just inconvenient or uncomfortable or a little scary. It asks more of you than you want to give right now. So you tell yourself you're waiting for clarity when really you're resisting activation, and your life will always reflect that. Because reality organizes itself around what you're actively embodying, not what you're hoping for. Becoming the flame. Application to your calling. So what does it actually mean to be the flame? It means you stop relating to your life like something is going to arrive and activate you. And you start relating to yourself as the source of your activation. You move with what you already know, even if it's small, knowing that you don't know it all. And you speak before you feel confident. You act before you feel ready, and you take the next step without needing the entire path mapped out. And something begins to happen whenever you do that. Your energy changes. You stop feeling stuck, and you start feeling engaged. You stop searching and you start building. You stop asking, is this right? And you start discovering, what happens whenever I move? That's how your signal strengthens. That's how your life begins to organize around you. Not because you force it, but because you finally participate in it. Feed the spark. Let's make this simple. This week, I don't want you trying to find your whole purpose for existence. I want you to find and feed your inner spark. Think about the one thing you already know you've been putting off. not 10 things, just one small thing. Something small but real. And instead of waiting until you feel clear about it, I want you to move on it. Take one step. Send the message. Start the outline. Speak your truth. Or begin the thing. And while you do it, pay attention to your energy. Notice how movement feels different than waiting. Notice how even a small action creates a shift. That's the beginning of your flame. You don't need to force it. You need to feed it. Celestials, you're not waiting for your life to begin. Your life is waiting for you to engage with it. The spark is already there. The only question is, are you willing to tend to it? If this resonates and you want to go deeper into the work, visit www.celestialgrove.academy. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about something important, because not all light is actually guiding you forward. Some of it keeps you stuck. Episode 12 is called How to Recognize a False Light Trap. That's right, the light isn't always real. Subscribe to stay with the process and keep walking through the veil with love.